Members, Article 23 legislation is the constitutional duty of the entire Hong Kong SAR. We have already been dragging our feet out for over 27 years in fulfilling this duty. So the government and the Legislative Council must work together to ensure the early completion of the legislative exercise. Now, the bill is of a necessity and urgency in safeguarding national security. So the SAO government proposes that the council speedily consider the safeguarding national security bill, including convening a special meeting for the first and second reading of the bill, and also for the early convening of meetings of the Bills Committee to consider the bill. I fully support the Chief Executive's suggestion. That's why today I convened this special meeting for the bill to receive its first and second reading. The chairman of the Bills Committee has also decided to convene a meeting this afternoon immediately after the first and second reading of the bill. It is to achieve the objective of completing the legislation as early as possible so that we can ensure national security is safeguarded effectively as soon as possible. Government Bill, first reading. Safeguarding National Security Bill, second reading. Secretary for Security. President, I move the second reading of the Safeguarding National Security Bill, the bill, to fully implement the constitutional duty as stipulated under the basic law, the decision of the National People's Congress on establishing and improving the legal system and enforcement mechanisms for the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region to safeguard national security, that is the 528 decision, and the Hong Kong National Security Law, Hong Kong NSL. The Hong Kong SAR government hereby introduces the Safeguarding National Security Bill, the bill, into this council for scrutiny. This is an utmostly important step for the Hong Kong SAR to establish a legal system and enforcement mechanism and to ensure the effective safeguarding of national security. Article 23 of the basic law stipulates that the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region shall enact laws on its own to prohibit any act of treason, secession, sedition, subversion against the Central People's Government, or theft of state secrets, to prohibit foreign political organizations or bodies from conducting political activities in the region, and to prohibit political organizations or bodies of the region from establishing ties with foreign political bodies or organizations. Article 3 of the 528 decision and Article 7 of Hong Kong SAR emphasize clearly that the Hong Kong SAR must complete legislation for safeguarding national security as early as possible and must improve the legal system and enforcement mechanism for safeguarding national security. The Hong Kong SAR must therefore enact the legislation as early as possible to fulfill its constitutional duty. There is also a genuine and urgent need to legislate for Article 23. The Hong Kong SAR has gone through the unbearably painful experience of having our national security seriously threatened, especially during the Hong Kong version of Colour Revolution and Black Flag violence in 2018. The geopolitics has become increasingly complex and national security risks remain imminent. The means to taken to endanger national security can come in many different forms, and the threat can emerge all of a sudden. Therefore, the SAR government must complete the legislative work as soon as possible to plug the national security loophole. The earlier we complete the legislative work, the sooner we can guard against national security risks. Having considered the content, the implementation experience, and court rulings in relation to the Hong Kong SAR and other relevant laws in safeguarding national security, the relevant laws and implementation experience of our country and other countries, and actual circumstances in recent years in the Hong Kong SAR, the SAR government has formulated an effective and practical proposal. We conducted public consultation from the 30th of January to the 28th of February this year on legislating for Article 23. We the publicity materials and information because we want the public to learn about the content of the proposal and to encourage the public to give their views. During the public consultation, we received supportive and positive views in 98.6% of the submissions. This shows that there is strong public support for the legislative exercise. The Security Bureau and the Department of Justice have been working speedily in recent days to analyze and consider views received from the public consultation so that we could complete the drafting of the bill. The Chief Executive in Council decided yesterday, that is the 7th of March, to gazette the bill and introduce the bill to the Legislative Council today. To complete the legislative work as soon as possible, the Chief Executive wrote to the President of the Legislative Council suggesting that the Council speedily commence the scrutiny of the bill and consider such means as convening a special Council meeting for the first and second reading and convening Bills Committee meetings as early as possible with a view to scrutinizing the bill and completing the legislative process at full speed. With the full support of the President of the Council, we are able to introduce the bill today for the first and second reading in this Council. We also have the support of the chairman of the subcommittee to study matters relating to Basic Law Article 23 legislation. The subcommittee will become a Bills Committee this afternoon and will proceed with the scrutiny of the bill at once. The arrangement is testimony to the concerted effort of the Hong Kong SAR executive and legislature in completing the legislative exercise as soon as possible. The SAR government is most grateful to the Council. The proposals in the bill adopt the following principles. 1. The highest principle of the policy of one country, two systems is to safeguard national security, sovereignty, and development interests. 2. Human rights are to be respected and protected. The rights and freedoms, including the freedoms of speech, of the press, and of publication, the freedoms of association, of assembly, of procession, and of on civil and political rights, and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights as applied to the Hong Kong SAR are to be protected in accordance with the law and free. For acts and activities endangering national security, there must be adherence to active prevention in accordance with the principle of the rule of law and suppression and punishment in accordance with the law. The bill covers the following aspects. A bill covers the preamble to state the legislative intent, the legal basis, and the duty of the Hong Kong SAR to safeguard national security. Apart from the preamble, there are 9 parts to the bill. Part 1 is preliminary, that covers the principles and interpretation of the bill. Parts 2 to 6 cover the proposed offenses and the relevant provisions. They cover relevant provisions to improve upon existing legislation, and also relevant provisions on newly proposed offenses to effectively prevent, curb, and punish various acts and activities that endanger national security, having regard to the actual circumstances and needs of Hong Kong. The 5 parts cover various offenses, including Part 2, treason, etc. Part 3, insurrection, incitement to mutiny and disaffection, and acts with seditious intention, etc. Part 4, offenses in connection with state secrets and espionage. Part 5, sabotage, endangering national security, etc. Part 6, external interference and organizations engaging in activities endangering national security. Part 7 of the bill, enforcement powers and procedure and legal actions, etc., in connection with safeguarding national security. Part 8, covers mechanisms for safeguarding national security and relevant protections. Part 9 of the bill includes related amendments, mainly on the necessary adaptation and corresponding amendments to relevant provisions in existing legislation. These proposals are spelled out in detail in paragraphs 10 to 70 of the Legislative Council brief. I would like to point out in particular that the bill has provided clear definition for various offenses with appropriate exceptions and defense. And also, in accordance with the general principles of the criminal law, there is need to prove mens rea for the relevant offenses. There is a need to prove that the defendant in carrying out acts or activities that endanger national security have intention, knowledge, or act recklessly. and innocent people will not be caught by the law inadvertently. During the consultation period, we received various views and suggestions on the scope of application of individual offences, persons to whom the bill applies, penalty, defence, and so on. The offences in the bill are based on the proposed offences in the consultation document, and there is further refinement of the relevant offences, including the penalties. On the power of enforcement, judicial proceedings, and other in legal system measures in relation to legal system and enforcement mechanisms of and safeguarding national security, they are put forward after careful and cautious consideration. Then all the necessary conditions are listed out carefully. And there is also restrictions on powers given to different enforcement bodies. So the above measures all show that we every intention to protect human rights under the basic law. And we have prepared a document on the relationship between safeguarding national security and protecting human rights that's annexed to the Legislative Council brief. This afternoon, we look forward to explaining to members further the details of the bill at the Relevant Bills Committee meeting. We will fully support the work of the Bills Committee in completing the legislation, the deliberations early. On behalf of the SL government, I must thank the Council for its full support and cooperation. Under this House Committee, a subcommittee was set up speedily. 3 meetings were held to consider fully policy matters in relation to the proposed legislation, to the legislative proposals, and the subcommittee put forward various invaluable comments that are of immense help to our drafting of the bill. With these remarks, I ask members to support the Safeguarding National Security Bill, and I hope that you will complete the legislative exercise as soon as possible. The earlier, the better. Thank you. I now propose the question to you that the aforesaid bill be read a second time. In accordance with the rules of procedure, the second reading debate is adjourned and the bill is referred to the House Committee. I now adjourn the Council until 11 a.m. on Wednesday, the 13th of March, 2024.